Dear friends, as I prepared to write this week's letter, I looked at last week's letter, which talks about bread. Good, I thought, I just need to do something a bit different. What's this week's lectionary reading, I wonder? Oh, yes, Jesus feeds the 5,000. Oh, that has bread in it, doesn't it? I wonder what today's lectionary reading might be. Oh, it was from the Old Testament, the story of manna and quails. Not quite bread, but manna's quite often talked about in the same way, though. Have a look at a reflection for today, which had a poem in it, and it talks about the bread of inner life. Sometimes you just have to know when God is shouting something at you. Bread for us is a staple in our diet, something we can always turn to and understand a little of how it's made. In the recent hot weather, we can think of all those fields of grain ripening nicely and remember those with those hot ovens who will be baking our bread. But bread alone will not satisfy us. For some of us, diets may not even allow us to eat bread, at least in its traditional form. We need it to be part of a balanced diet. Life in balance or perspective links between our Old Testament lectionary readings from last week, which was found in Mark's Gospel. It talks about rest, or at least the disciples and Jesus trying to get some rest, with a scene almost like something from a comedy. As Jesus and the disciples get into a boat to go off to the other side, the people think, oh, hang on, we'll run round and beat them. Oh, hello, Jesus, we are here now. Apparently running around the lake is quicker than sailing across it. Jesus recognised that people needed help and a shepherd to care for them. He also recognised when food was needed, as well as rest, that we must take time to eat and to rest well. This week's lectionary gets taking time to feed the people. We turn this time to John, who accompanies most of our lectionary through the rest of August. He tells us a bit more about the disciples, what they said in conversation around the boy presenting his lunch, as well as the mathematical costs if Philip was to go and actually pay for the meal. Getting people to sit down and eat together is an important part of life, as well as faith. As we've already said, eating properly is important for us physically, spiritually, and mentally. I mentioned a poem earlier. I'm going to take a bit of that poem. It's called Love Someone. Love someone in God's name. Love someone, for this is the bread of inner life, without which a part of you will starve and die. And though you feel you must be stern, even hard in your life of affairs, make for yourself at least a little corner somewhere in the great world where you may unbosom and be kind. Now, I'll be honest, poetry is not something I often turn to, but I think it points us in another direction about food and our life, that it needs many essential ingredients. Paul points out that love is the greatest of these, that love of another and God's love is important. We are created to love one another. Without love, we will just starve. We need to be loved and show love and kindness to others as well as ourselves, whether that's in bread and the sharing of it or any kind of food, in resting and with God and his word. We need to make sure we put the right things into our body to help us throughout the day, the week, and our life as a whole, as we know if we get it wrong, how it makes us feel. Let us care for ourselves and others well. May God guide and bless you as you go through this coming week. Amen.